the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast, and we appreciate all of you that tune us in each and every day. Make Auburn Blitz part of your day at some point in time. If you have not liked or subscribed to our channel, please do that. It helps us out tremendously. And Faith, good to see you this morning as my voice decides to go right when we start. But anyway, glad to see you this morning. We're not at the beach anymore. But we had a great trip talking to some future Auburn Tigers and maybe some future Auburn Tigers, and just some really good interviews that we were able to do while we were doing our On the Road show. And we're going to talk about that. You had a chance to catch up with Tank Jones at St. Paul's Episcopal. That interview will be coming out next week. And I know you're excited to get that prepared for everybody. That's another edition of On the Front Row with Faith that we're excited. And to kind of let everybody know what we're doing, we're going to hit all of the top 10 according to 24/7. Again, we appreciate Jason and Christian and all the guys over there that are so gracious to us and jump on our show and vice versa, and are able to talk Auburn sports. So we use their stuff a lot on as far as their listings and their rankings. That's what we refer to most of the time when we're saying a 4-star or whatever. It's usually coming off the 24/7 side of things. So Tank Jones, the number 2 player in the state. Cedarian Morgan, you've already done that one. It's out there for everybody to see. If you haven't watched that one yet, you need to go to search, and you made a whole different section for just On the Front Row with Faith stuff. So it's sitting there. Go check out Cedarian Morgan's, but Tank Jones will be coming out. I know you enjoyed that interview yesterday.
Yeah, I really did. I love talking about the character of guys and just with how everything has changed in college sports. I can't imagine being 18 or 17 even, and especially having money put into play and money, the transfer portal, NIL, all these different things of being so young and having access to all of these things. And character is a huge thing for me, and especially going and actually having to have these conversations with people. That kid was a wonderful, wonderful kid. He was very, very sweet, very genuine. One of the first things I told him after probably the first 3 words he said to me were "yes, ma'am," along with "okay, yes, ma'am." And I told him, I said, "Please don't age me like that. Please, I'm serious." And he was like, "Okay, yes, ma'am," or "yes." And I was like, "Thank you." He was just one of the most genuine, soft-spoken, very few words, but I got out what I could with him, but just very sweet. And, he talked about his dad a lot and how his dad has contributed to his playing and just how well his success has been at such a young age and how he's been able to manage it. And a lot of it has been his dad. And I think he's a very great young man in the making. And I think Auburn would be lucky to have him because, again, I think Auburn really does have a lot of great character guys, and I think he would fit in with that group. But yeah, I mean, he was awesome to talk to. Very, very sweet, big guy.
Yeah, we're gonna push some pictures out today. Not that that's breaking news. Everybody knows he's about 6'4" and weighs about 240 pounds, and that's extremely accurate. And so we wanted to to be able to, and we're not going in any certain order on the top 10. We're going to get to all of the top 10, and some of these guys won't come to Auburn. Let's just be honest about it. But we felt like it was important. I'm going to tell you where this idea was born, because last year Hugh Freeze made it a priority to dominate this state and to go out. And I remember going into the final weeks of the recruiting cycle and right before signing day, and even Auburn was high on the knee, on Neem Alford, and it was up for, I mean, right down to signing day, whether we would get him or not. He ended up finishing, as the top player in the state, and very, very well deserving of that. Parker thought he was the reason they probably won the state championship, was because they stuck him at quarterback sometimes, and he was able to go and get, yards when they needed to get yards. But he goes to Oregon, but then it's a slew of Auburn players. It's Malik Autry, it's Jared Smith, it's Anquan Fagans, it's J.J. Falk. Auburn, I'm not sure how much they were on Zion Grady. I mean, I'd heard different things about Zion Grady, and not a cut against Zion Grady. He goes to Ohio State. He's a great player. But I don't know that Auburn really pushed hard for him, but they did make Jordan Crawford a priority. They got him. Eric Winters was also a high priority. They got him. Antonio Coleman, he flipped twice from Auburn to Alabama, back to Auburn, back to Alabama, and then finally signed with Auburn. Auburn picks up Derek Smith. You go on down the list, Alvin Henderson, Mr. Football in Alabama. They got him. When you go through the top 15 players in the state last year, according to 24/7, there was only 4, or actually 3 if you only count Zion Grady. Well, 4 because of Neem Alford. 4 guys that Auburn didn't get. And Alabama didn't get anybody. There wasn't a single player in the top 15, according to 24/7. And the reason I bring Alabama up, obviously, that's our in-state rival. And Alabama's dominated us in the past, and how important it was to have the great players from the state of Alabama stay home and come to Auburn. So that's what basically spawned this idea that you and I had to say, let's look at these top 10 guys, because when you and I were talking about this, we said, man, how cool would it have been to sit down and talk about what went into their decision-making process, and why Auburn was able to garner so many, because I don't ever remember Auburn having this many guys in the top 10 in one class. I mean, they've always had several, but Alabama's always had several. And then you get a few like we just talked about that'll go out of state. But Auburn just dominated. And so, again, Kalen DeBoer, you can tell, has stepped it up a notch. And I'm sure there were people in Tuscaloosa saying, hey, you better not let that happen again. You better not get a single player in the top 15 in the state. And you can go get the best players, in other states too, but we can't.
You want to get the in-state guys because you already have a lead of them being in-state. So yeah, them not getting anybody in the top 15 last year was,
mind blowing to me.
Credit to Auburn for the guys that we got.
Right.
But yeah, I think going around and doing all of this is going to be really, really fun, and I'm really excited to do it. And again, we're not doing it in any order, but the first 2 kind of were, I guess.
They were the top 2.
Yeah, they were the top.
We really didn't do it on purpose that way.
No.
But it just happens to be 1 and 2. And again, and I'm going to fast forward, and you and I are going to talk about this top 10. And I think obviously Alabama's putting a lot of pressure on some of these kids, and they want to make them a priority because they know they fell short last year. So we're going to talk about that. Justice said, but they don't want anyone from the state with a smiley face. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's what was said last year. I don't believe that at all. And I think when the kind of the tongue in cheek stuff goes away, I think I talked to plenty of Alabama fans that said, look, that I don't care what you say. That's just not a good look when you go over in the top 15. If Auburn would have done that, I would have said the same thing. I'd have said, this is terrible. Like, how do we not land a single player out of the top 15? So you can bet that Alabama's going to change that narrative. And, we're going to have to up our game a little bit. But let's talk about some of our partners real quick.
Yes.
Faith, and we always start with Sensa Green.
Sensa Green Prayer, that's cool and clean. Call on Sensa Green. They are the carrier dealers in the state of Alabama and proud supporter of the Auburn Blitz podcast and Auburn athletics. Driving back from Gulf Shores yesterday, we saw a big truckload of carrier units. And Brett, we talk about how that stands out to us now because of our friends over at Sensa Green.
I never would have noticed that before. I'm just going to be honest. But I said, look, there's a whole truckload of carrier units right beside us. So Sensa Green, one of the, the best around. And like Faye said, they'll take care of you and make sure you
thousands of dollars on your installation.
Absolutely. Scout Program Management in Birmingham, Sloan and Jay and Charles, all those guys are awesome. And they will take care of you on your project. They are hired because you don't want to have to worry about all the stuff that goes into a multi-million-dollar project. You hire them to make sure it's all done correctly. So from the planning stage to the finished product, you don't want a contractor walking off the project and all kind of stuff pops up and a lot of punch list things that weren't done correctly. Now you got to pay for all that stuff. They're going to go in there and hold everybody accountable, make sure the project's done correctly. And when you get the keys, you'll be happy with the finished product. So call on Scout Program Management for your next construction project. Bunkers, not only just golf, but food, bar, experience. So much fun over there. 27 different sports on the golf simulator bays. They have that private room. So if you want to host a little party or something like that, they can take care of you over there. And they've got happy hour deals all the time. And the food over there is just outstanding. I love it. Unbelievable. Can't wait to go back. When are we going back?
I know. We need to.
Yep. Already looking forward to that next trip. Yep. All right. We'll hit some more partners here in just a minute, but back to what we were talking about. Tank Jones yesterday, great interview with by you with him, and enjoyed that. Can't wait for everybody to see that. You caught up with Sadarian Morgan. Sadarian Morgan, right there's a pipeline from Benjamin Russell High School, and obviously people that know me know that I'm not talking about Benjamin Russell from like a standpoint of he doesn't know much about the school like some of these other schools. I mean, most everybody knows I've done the play-by-play for Benjamin Russell for 25 years. We've had a pipeline out of this school to Auburn, right down 280. Eric Brock, Marquise Gunn, Tyrone Martin, El Toro Freeman, Michael Goggins. I can just keep going. And most of them, I mean, El Toro and Michael Goggins played on the national championship team. Eric Brock and Marquise Gunn were on the undefeated 2014. We've had some great players, and we've got Malcolm Simmons right now, and we saw what he was able to do. And again, I'm a little homerish here, but when somebody comes from Benjamin Russell High School to Auburn, they don't just go and be on the roster. They're an impact player. They're a top-ranked player. This is one of the highest, if not the highest player to ever come out of this school. And so that tells you, and all the guys I just rattled off, Faith, and how great those players have been and are going to be. Sadarian was a guy that we watched several years ago, and we said, he's a no-brainer. And that's another one we want to come right down 280. But everybody in the country wants this guy, and for good reason. You saw him up close and personal. He's every bit of 6'4.5", almost 6'5", weighs probably 215 to 220 pounds, and is a hard matchup for anybody on any team, any level. He's a matchup problem. And you know what? He could go to the defensive side of the ball and be elite too. But I think his future's in offense. But he is definitely a top priority and top target for Auburn. But, we're going to have to battle hard for this one.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And with Sadarian too, Ben Russell just got a whole new coaching staff. And so saw how successful they were, or a lot of them who came from Montgomery Catholic, how successful they had been over there. And I'm really looking forward to being up close and seeing what his coaching staff will be able to do. Coach Kirk's coaching staff will be able to do with Sadarian and all these other guys over there. And the freshman quarterback, and just see what other knowledge and stuff that he's going to be able to get, because, under a new coach, you're learning a bunch of different things. And so I'm excited to see kind of how his transition from the coaching staff and what else he's able to do.
Yeah, I think Marcus Davis, great relationship with Sedarian. So, no, he's going to be pushing hard. I know Coach Freeze has made several trips up here. I don't think if he goes somewhere else other than Auburn, it will be because, the deal was just better. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's – you and I talked to a coach yesterday. I won't name any names, but he said it. He said, let's be honest, guys. You can come camp out all day and, have an in-home meal and do all this stuff. He said at the end of the day, and he said, I'm not cutting any kids down, but he said it's the truth. It's just it's about money. And we've all talked about it till we're all sick. And, again, you can't blame them for taking advantage of the system. We're not pointing a finger at any of the kids, but they're going to take whatever they can get. Now, again, I think relationships do matter. And, if the deals are close, you're going to go to the place where you feel the most comfortable. But at the end of the day, we will see how it all plays out. Just so we need on the front row with Spivey. Yeah, Caleb Spivey, another top prospect on this Benjamin Russell team, a 4-star kid that's a sophomore right now, that's a rising junior. This team's loaded with talent. I mean, Kingston Preyear, BJ Bedgood, you're going to see a bunch of guys on this team that are great. And so we'll see how it plays out. Faith, Anthony Jones, Tank Jones comes in number 2. On 24/7, they got him 100% to Auburn. I don't feel that. I'm just going to be honest with you. He did show up to A-Day, which I thought was huge, and that was a surprise visit. Kind of found out why he showed up to Auburn. Again, it doesn't matter. He ended up back at Auburn. There's another opportunity for, Auburn coaches to spend some time with him, but he was definitely the highlight of visitors there for A-Day. Again, not to belabor a point, but, that's a kid after you interviewed him yesterday that you want on your team.
Yeah, he's going to be announcing and narrowing down a lot of the schools heading into the summer. So he'll narrow it down and release some of his official visit dates and where he's going and stuff like that. So
he gave us a little bit of a preview, but we told him we wouldn't say anything.
So. But definitely we'll be obviously keeping up with him, no doubt, but we'll be posting it and everything about where he's headed. So I don't think 100% on Auburn at all. Just after going and talking to him, I think Auburn's still in the running, but he's going to go. And I mean, gosh, you go look at his Instagram and all of the offers that he's gotten. Oh, it's all over the country. So he's definitely, I understand with him why it's taken him a long time to narrow it down, because he's got a lot of places to go visit.
Pretty much anywhere he wants to go.
Yep.
The number 3 player, Vodney Cleveland's a top ranked quarterback. He has vaulted up the rankings down at Jackson. You and I saw him at the state championship game. Big, long, lanky kid that can run and throw. 6'3", 190 pounds.
Wait, Landon Duckworth?
I mean, what did I say?
Vodney Cleveland.
No, I'm sorry. Landon Duckworth, not Vodney Cleveland. Vodney's 4. Vodney is not a quarterback.
I was like, and he's up in Birmingham.
No. Landon Duckworth, and they've got 3 of the top 10. How about that?
Yeah.
Jackson High School with Landon Duckworth, Xavier Crowell, and Kean Chapman. Those 3 guys at Jackson, good luck. And I know I've said that before to anybody playing them this year. After they mauled Cherokee County in the state championship game, and Cherokee County had a great football team, and you return all those guys and remember Xavier Crowell, who comes in at number 7, reclassified from 27 to 26. So when he did that, he jumped up into the top 10 of the 26 class. A lot of people felt like maybe he would have been the top player in the 27 class, but then comes back and jumps in and is reclassified, is going to graduate a year early. But, that trio there. But what I look down through here and look, there's one guy committed to Alabama and Zion Gibson from Gadsden City, and he comes in at number 5. And then you look at everybody else. Auburn's got Hezekiah Harris, and he is at number 8, the edge rusher from Mae Jemison High School in North Alabama. But everybody else is trying to decide. I mean, there is nothing for certain. Another one that you and I will be seeing, maybe the next interview that we will have will be with the number 6 player in the state, and that's Jaquez Wilkes from Wadley High School, another big-time edge guy, 6'4", 220. Now, I want this to also – you got a bunch of edge rushers in this class, Faith. You got Anthony Jones, Tank Jones. He's an edge. You got Jaquez Wilkes. He's an edge. You got Hezekiah Harris. He's an edge. If Auburn were to get Jaquez Wilkes' commitment, does that steer Tank Jones away? Or does that even matter to him? That some of that plays in to making a decision sometimes, because I think Hezekiah Harris is a lot to Auburn. If Jaquez Wilkes is right up the road, and man, I think his potential is unlimited at 6'4", 220 pounds. He plays at a small high school, so he hasn't really had a chance to really, again, it's not a cut on 1A schools, but I think, against some better competition, some bigger teams, you're going to see him flourish even more.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking about how, when you were saying that he's such a big guy and he's able to make things happen where he's at. But I was thinking about Tank Jones and how he also, I don't know how I missed this, but he also throws shot put.
Yes.
At St. Paul's, and how that is such a big part of him being able to be explosive below the waist and in his legs and stuff like that. I mean, so yeah, that just reminded me of something. So I know that that's not what we were talking about, but when you said that, it just made me think of that.
Right. Look, the guy, and we talked to his track coach, and she was like, yeah, we like to think that this is his fun sport, that that's something that he really, really enjoys to do and doesn't have to be stressed out about making a decision and all that. Got some comments coming in. John said, who's on the lunchtime show today? Me and JJ will be on the lunchtime show today. Wayne said, we faced Duckworth his freshman year and beat Jackson. He threw 3 INTs. I said, we just beat a future Michael Vick. Yeah, I mean, look, the guy, I mean, his upside's unbelievable. And he just makes the game. I'm not comparing him to Deuce Knight, but the ease of how he plays the game, he looks very similar to Deuce Knight. Jonathan says War Eagle. Just said Jermichael Garrett's an edge. Yes. Already committed, but sounds like it might be a little bit shaky. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, again, that's another edge that you look at there. And so, yeah, and I think a lot of that plays into it, Faith. And we'll kind of see how it plays out. Just to finish up the list, talked about Xavier Crowell, definitely a priority, unbelievable running back. Marquez Daniels, which is right down the road from Auburn in Tuskegee, big time wide receiver, another target there, 4-star guy, and then Kean Chapman, another big time wide receiver there. So several really, really big time wide receivers there in this top 10. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, Shadarius Tootle comes in at number 12, and there'll be some moving and shaking in this list. These are not sitting permanent. This is where they sit now. They'll have a lot of combines and camps and things they'll go to this summer, Faith, and things will move up and down. And in the season, as it progresses, there'll be some more updates on the rankings. So, yeah, there's that. And so, but Auburn dominated the top 15 last year, getting players in the state of Alabama. We wanted to just kind of do a preview because we went and saw Tank yesterday. We're going to be hitting all 10 of the top players here in the state of Alabama. Faith's going to be sitting down with each one of them. Already done 2, the top 2 guys. We're going to hit all of them. And like I said, all of them aren't coming to Auburn. We're going to go catch up with Zion Gibson. I know he's committed to Alabama. It doesn't mean he's signed with them yet. And we want to do this as a profile to kind of showcase what all goes into the decision making. And it's been great so far, and looking forward to catching up with the other 8 as we move forward, Faith. So some more partners here on the program. And again, we can't do it without them. Sure Shot.
Sure Shot for all your firearm apparel and hunting needs. They sell and trade new and used firearms. They're right up 280, not too far from Auburn at all. So if anybody wants to go and head up to Sure Shot, talk to Scott, he's going to be able to help you with literally all of your hunting needs. So go up there. They've got the best prices and everything too. 256-329-0080. Oliver Ross, your parties are from 20 all the way to 20,000 people. If it's a work convention or anything of the sort, Oliver Ross are certified and licensed bartenders that are going to be able to help take care of your party needs, fraternity, sorority, anything like that. Instead of having to deal with the party and the bartending for your parties, why don't you just deal with entertainment? Oliver Ross is going to be able to take care of you.
Love how you said that. Just deal with entertainment. Quit worrying about all the other stuff. Let them handle that. You can't do everything.
Exactly.
So, Rebel Yell said he thinks Alabama will dominate the state like Auburn did last year. Makes you wonder how Auburn slipped so fast. I don't know that Auburn slipped right now. I mean, I think that Auburn blitzed the state last year. I think DeBoer was getting his feet on the ground, and I think he understood the importance. Auburn's going to get their share of guys in state, and I think Auburn is doing a tremendous job, of recruiting. And I think Auburn's biggest thing is worrying about winning. The last thing we're going to talk about is portal ins and outs. Faith, I don't want to diminish the guys that left, but this is who left: Terrence Love, C.J. Johnson, J.C. Hart, Braden Joyner, Tyler Scott, and Rico Walker. I mean, I don't know what the combined snaps are for those guys, but it ain't many. So, and again, it's not a cut on them. Can they go and play somewhere else? Absolutely they can. Most of these guys have transferred out. But the reason that happens, and the reason you didn't lose a lot of you didn't see key guys leaving this roster, even though they came off another losing season. I think this is just a very important year to turn things around and win 8-9 ball games and show that Auburn is, and the rest will take care of itself. Now, if you come back and lay another egg, no, you're probably not going to do very well in state or anywhere for that matter, because Auburn has been able to continue to recruit at a high level even when they haven't been winning. I think I ran down a list a few months ago, Faith, that of all the top 10 teams in recruiting, Auburn was one of the top 10. Everybody else were either on the outside of making the playoffs or made the playoffs, and we were the outlier. And it's like, well, how do we keep doing this? Well, we won't keep doing it if we don't turn things around. So I'm not worried about Auburn getting 8 to 10 in the top 10 this year. I do want Auburn to get their fair share. I don't want them to lose out on every one of them. I don't think it will look like Alabama last year when you look up and they didn't get a single player in the top 15. I think you will see Alabama have more players in the top 15, but will Auburn get their fair share? Because there's going to be other teams that come in from out of state that get some of these guys, just like we see every year, 3-4 of them, somewhere in that number. Can Auburn get 3 or 4 of these top guys? Does Alabama get 3, 4, 5 of these guys? It's going to be a battle. It's what I'm saying. It's the reason we brought this up today. We talked to Tank Jones yesterday. Faith sat down with him, thought the interview was great, not to keep repeating ourselves. But that's why we're talking about this, because last year Auburn did dominate, and they built, and that's part of why this roster looks different now, Faith.
And I think too, and Justin even just said this too, but Auburn, we were able to flip a lot of guys last year. And, Justin said, I think Auburn knows to walk late. I think that's 100% spot on. I think really that Auburn knows when to kind of go in and really talk to these guys to get them to flip over right before.
Right.
So, I mean, we saw it last year. I don't know if there's much more of lead by example than that.
No, I agree. So, again, it's a very good class, and we'll continue to talk about throughout the summer. But the good trend is we didn't see a lot of guys leave. But we didn't see a lot. I mean, nobody of any significance as far as key playing time guys we saw leave in the portal. But Auburn was able to go out and get some really key guys. So the ins were a lot better than the outs.
Right.
And that's why, when you're evaluating your roster, did you do better on the ones you got to come in, rather than the ones that left your program? And Auburn didn't lose. You didn't see Auburn losing any top-rated players. Again, it's not a cut on the guys that left, but they left. It wasn't bad blood. I don't think any of those guys left on bad terms. But,
right.
We saw we talked about Keontae Scott yesterday. Now he's moving on again, and he just got to Houston. He's in the transfer portal again. Some of these guys, it becomes a cancer to them. I hate to say it that way, but the portal becomes a cancer, and they feel like that's their only out.
Right.
Instead of settling and trying to work to get better, they're looking for another route instead of trying to work on what they need to do to get better. So, all right, but again, we're gonna roll off here. I want to talk about two more partners here before we leave. And again, we appreciate all of you out there that tune us in each and every day. We couldn't do the show without you guys. Always fun interacting. Old Number One Customs, Faith.
Yeah. So if you want your wife to love you, then take her on a trip for 2 weeks and have her come back to her kitchen being fully redone. Don't DIY it for 2 years. Get it done with Old Number One Customs in 2 weeks. They're going to be able to seriously take care of everything in 2 weeks so that you don't even have to lift a finger. And your wife is going to love you. I promise.
You've convinced me. I may never DIY anything around here anymore.
There you
because
go.
it just destroys everything. You just make a bigger mess, and they have to come in and clean it up. Old Number One Customs. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook. Contact them. They've got great financing deals, 0% down, in and out in 2 weeks. Can't beat that. We all want to be healthy, don't we?
We all want to be healthy. We all want to drink purified water. With the Home Atlas Duo by JFA Blue Plumbing, they're going to be able to make sure your family is drinking the right water that is filtered out, all the bad things that you don't want. So again, if I can remember this number, I know y'all can, 844-JFA Blue. Call on them because they're going to be able to help y'all.
Same with them, $15.99 to install in your house, and you got clean, purified water from then on. I mean,
yep.
You don't have to worry about all that crap that's in there. So make sure you call on them. They'll come install that, and everybody will be good to go. Yep. Faith, man, a whirlwind. We're all exhausted. Thought Maddie did great. We covered a bunch of schools in Baldwin and Mobile County, and we'll have all of that coming out in the next 2 weeks for everybody to see on the road. Want to talk a little bit more about Daigle Wilson. We don't have time today, but we'll save that for tomorrow. What a class act she is. We're going to throw, man, she's going for her 5th state championship. Also found out she's a top-ranked bowler in the state. Didn't know that the last night. So just amazing athlete. And she'll be joining the Auburn Tigers softball team. And we're looking forward to having her back on. Well, she's never been on this show. We interviewed her. Maddie did a good job on the HSA side, but you and I will be having her on in a few weeks. That's going to be a treat for everybody. I promise. You're going to love Daigle Wilson when you're able to see her and talk and let her talk about what she's been able to do in an unbelievable career in high school. So
yeah, there's no doubt.
All right, guys, I've got to go to an awards program for my daughter, and we got a lot of other things. Yep. So we've got to hit that. I got to be I got to be the good father and be there for that. And Faith's got a lot going on. She's got a busy day ahead of her with all these edits that we just did,
Yes.
all these videos. So, so yeah, thanks to everybody. Go out there and like, subscribe if you have not done it. Have the
Best day ever.
Best day ever and a big old
War Eagle.